So today we're going to dive into a playbook that completely flips the script on design. We're breaking down the methods of Lattice staff designer Andrea to see how you can go from just executing other people's ideas to actually leading the strategy.
Does this sound familiar? You're a designer, you get handed a fully baked idea, and the ask is just, make this look good. You know the feeling, right? It's such a common pain point, feeling like you're just there to push pixels around, not to actually shape the solution. Well, what if there was a clear playbook to change that dynamic for good?
See, the thing is, truly great design, it doesn't start in Figma. It starts way before that. It begins with what we call proactive discovery, a deep dive into the why before anyone even thinks about the what or the how.
Okay, so to make this happen, we're going to walk through Andrea's 5-phase playbook. We'll kick things off by building a solid foundation with something called a design brief. Then, we'll investigate what's already there with a UX audit. After that, it's all about generating solutions with a super efficient 1-hour sprint and some creative brainstorming. And finally, we'll figure out how to turn all those ideas into a real plan using some smart prioritization framework.
All right, phase 1. This is all about laying the foundation. Before anyone even whispers a solution, the #1 priority is getting everyone in the room to have a crystal clear, shared understanding of the problem itself. Everything, and I mean everything, builds from here.
And right away, this is where we see a huge shift. You know that technical doc from a product manager, the PRD? It's usually all about what to build. Andrea's method brings in a designer-led design brief, which is laser-focused on the why. It's all about translating those technical requirements into a vision that centers on the user. It asks the most important question: what problem are we actually solving for them?
So this one-pager, it basically becomes the team's North Star. It's a living document that captures the project's real purpose from the user's point of view. And it asks these really important upfront questions like, hey, have we tried to fix this before? And are there any existing patterns out there that might already solve this? This simple brief gets everyone on the same page about the real problem, right from day one.
Okay, so we've defined the problem. Now it's time for phase 2, the investigation. This means taking a deep, brutally honest look at the current product to uncover every single pain point and every possible opportunity.
And Andrea has this really cool two-pronged approach. First, she does a personal audit. So when she's new to a team, she'll just go through and screenshot everything. This captures that invaluable fresh eyes perspective of a new user. But then there's the team audit. This is where everyone, from engineers to product, jumps into the tool and documents what's broken. This isn't just about finding bugs, it's about building a shared sense of purpose.
And you know, the real power of that team audit isn't just about finding issues. It's about building empathy. When an engineer personally struggles with a clunky user flow, it stops being just another ticket. They actually feel the user's frustration. And that shared pain, that's what gets the whole team fired up to make things better.
All right, the team is aligned, they're motivated, so how do you actually come up with the solutions? That brings us to phase 3, fast, focused, and super collaborative design sprints.
Just 1 hour. That's it. Seriously, we're not talking about those week-long sprints that just drain everyone's energy. The whole idea here is that the best sprints are short, they're focused, and they respect everyone's time.
So you might be asking, why only 1 hour? Well, think about it. It keeps the energy high and the focus razor sharp. It's so much easier to get busy engineers to commit to 1 hour. And let's be real, you absolutely need their technical perspective in the room. And hey, if you need more time, no problem. Just schedule another session. No marathon meetings needed.
Of course, a 1-hour sprint is only as good as the tools you use inside it. So let's look at the specific frameworks Andrea uses to generate a whole bunch of creative solutions in that really tight time frame.
Okay, here's a situation I'm sure you've been in. The team is brainstorming and somebody throws out the first decent idea. And then boom, everyone latches onto it and all the creative thinking just stops. It's such a common trap and it almost never leads to the best solution. So, how do you break that fixation?
You flip the script. You use something called the inversion exercise. Instead of asking for a good idea, you ask everyone to come up with the absolute worst possible solution. This is brilliant because it's low pressure, it's actually really fun, and it works. By getting everyone to agree on what not to do, you break them out of that narrow thinking and open up the space for truly creative ideas. All right, next up is a total classic, and for a very good reason. The How Might We framework. It's just such a powerful way to reframe problems into opportunities.
Let's make this real. For a project they did on improving tasks at Lattice, the team didn't just ask, how do we fix this? No, they framed the challenge with these focused, optimistic questions.
How might we improve visibility? How might we make tasks more actionable? These HMW statements turn complaints into clear prompts for brainstorming, guiding the team toward real ideas.
Okay, so the sprint's over, the energy is buzzing, you've got a ton of great ideas on virtual sticky notes everywhere. Now what? This is the really crucial part, turning all that creative chaos into a prioritized, actionable plan. First up, they use a customized version of the Eisenhower matrix. But instead of the usual urgent versus important, they plot every single idea by impact versus confidence. Now, the high-impact, high-confidence ideas are the obvious wins. But the real magic happens in the discussion. Why does an engineer think an idea is low confidence while a designer thinks it's high? That conversation is where the team gets truly aligned.
Now, once you have those initial groupings, you need a really clear action plan. And that's where the Moscow method comes in. It forces the team to sort every idea into one of 4 buckets: what we must do, what we should do, what we could do, and just as important, what we won't do, at least for now.
And here's the beauty of it. These 2 frameworks create this perfect little funnel. First, the whole team plots their ideas on the impact versus confidence matrix. Next, they discuss and debate, really digging into those high-impact items. And finally, they just drag the ideas from the matrix right into their Moscow buckets. In one session, you go from a mess of ideas to a crystal-clear, prioritized roadmap.
So, when you pull all these pieces together, the brief, the audit, the sprint, the prioritization, what's the big picture? What does it all mean? Well, it adds up to a fundamental shift in what it means to be a designer. You know, Andrea's final thought here really just nails it. All this proactive discovery, it isn't just extra work. It actually makes the pushing the pixels part easier. Why? Because by the time you open up that design file, the entire team is already aligned on the problem because you've solved it together. And that is how a designer becomes a true strategic partner.
Look, this isn't just some high-level theory. This is a real, practical playbook you can start using, like, today. So the question isn't if you should try it, it's where you're going to start. Are you going to draft a design brief for your next project? Or maybe run a quick team audit? Or jump right in with a 1-hour sprint? Which technique will you try first to take your work from just pixels to real strategy?